Okay, we're back and we're going to work on the legs today. This is the most complex step. Probably this will end up being the longest video, I'm guessing. I don't know. The head has some complexity also. Generally speaking, not always, generally speaking, legs are going to use the rule of five shapes to make the legs. Remember, we're not modeling these legs on the other side of the animal. What we're going to do is we're going to make these legs on the side that we can really see and get a good idea of, and we'll clone those by duplicating them and mirroring them to the other side. All right. So let's get going here. Now, things start to get a little bit messy here. It would be kind of nice to do this on a separate picture, but then you couldn't see the overlap and the way that these shapes interact with the body that we've already made. So, your mileage may vary on that. Um, Ideally, if I could print transparencies in layers, that would be a best way to do it, but I haven't got there yet. I haven't figured that out. All right, so here's what we're going to do. First thing, let's take care of the easy parts first. Just model the paws or the claws. We want big shapes. When in doubt, make your shapes bigger and of course, overlap, overlap, overlap. We gotta overlap them. Remember, if they don't overlap, like in the last video, you can see my neck and body, they overlap significantly. That's gonna make it, because like in real life, your arm doesn't like just touch a little bit. They actually, like the shapes and the muscles of your arm, they definitely overlap significantly. This one overlaps with this shape. So we're going to make sure we overlap each shape a lot. The more, the better. When in doubt, overlap a lot. If they barely touch, they're going to break on the 3D printer and they're going to look unrealistic. All right, so here we go. So we got paw and go up to the top. Oh, and let's do the rear ones also. We'll get the paw. Ah, that's not good. And remember, I'm kind of breaking my own rule, but always draw in the air before you start drawing the shape. Okay, now look, we're going to go up to the top and do the shoulder and I don't know what that would be, the hip, I guess it would be. And then work our way towards the middle. So we're going to work our way with shapes towards the middle. So we're going to do the outside, these two shapes. So let's go do that. Hey, look at that shoulder. Since I chose a good drawing, that shoulder is big and significant. The shoulder should be the biggest shape on the leg typically. The shoulder and the hip and the back. There it is. So we got an oval shape there. And I got this one here. I'm going to see that curve all the way up. And we want to really overlap heavily with the body here. And they don't have to be straight up and down. Whatever angle. Whoops. My paper's kind of moving on me. The bigger, the better. Don't make it smaller than what it is. All right, okay. So we got the top and the bottom shape, and we're going to work our way towards the middle. Okay, so now you can see, if I just look at the lines here, the leg bends back this way. So I'm going to make a shape for that. We got one here, and then one right here. See that? That's the rule of five. So I'm going to make a shape here to model this bend in the leg. Big shapes. Go as far down as you can. We want, again, I know I've said it a lot, massive overlap. We want lots of overlap. And this is why we chose drawings that actually have well-defined muscles and we can see individual segments and not these very abstract and amorphous kind of like not well-defined drawings. Okay, right here. And then I'm going to do the ankle. Again, we do this and we work our way towards the middle. Good. And hey, it looks dumb on here, but on Tinkercad, it's going to take care of that. The overlap will look natural. All right, and then one shape right here. Wait a minute. That's not really an oval at all. That's more of a oblong shape that's bulging at the top. That's fine. There's actually a way. There's an egg shape in Tinkercad we can use for shapes that are not exactly symmetrical. They're more top heavy. I think this would be a good one to use an egg on here too. Okay, let's go in here. Here we have definitely an ankle shape that goes up here. We've got another shape that kind of comes this way, and then another shape that looks like right in here. So practice in the air if you have to. Hey, that's a little bit bigger, but that's a little slight error you can see, but I'd rather make it bigger than smaller. We don't want him to be too small. We want this animal to look like it's significant and kind of chunky. All right, let's go ahead and you can watch me as I start to measure some of these shapes. I'm probably not going to sit here and make you watch me measure all of them because look, we have to do length and width for 10 shapes. So that's 20 measurements. So I might pause the video, but I'll show you a few of them, okay? Hey, I think, again, we're using millimeters. I think the longest way we could possibly measure this would be from here to here. Notice how it's not straight up and down, it's tilted, and we want it to be that way. Okay, so I'm going to put an arrow right here to show that I'm measuring the shoulder. And that is about 62. For the height, my width, the widest part, measure the widest width you have. Not necessarily in the middle, because we're going to use an egg shape for this, not an oval. 45. Let's measure another one. And then I'm not going to make you watch me measure the rear. That looks like the longest way, and again, it's tilted. That's good. So we got 40, it's closer to 43. So let's put an arrow right to there. 43 by and a 90-degree angle to that. So we measure like this. So we measure across at a 90. 30, about 31, maybe 32, I think. All right. Again, here's my egg shape. Definitely not going to be an oval. We'll use the egg. 50, 59, 59 by right up here. See, there's a lot of math integrated into this with measurement and dimensioning. So about 30. I don't know, it's more like 29 and a half, but I'm not going to get into that. It's a millimeter. Who cares? You know, this one, I think this is a little bit too thick, so I'm going to reduce that a little bit. All right, down here. And again, I'm not going to make you watch me measure the rear leg. So we have a width of 18. Oh, no. I was measuring the height. You can see I got kind of maybe a little bit inconsistent with the way I'm writing down my dimensions. And this way, 28. And finally, the paw, 27. Nope. Is that right? Yeah, 27 by 13. 27 by 13. All right. And through the magic of video, boom, there it is. Okay, so we're back and we have all of these shapes measured. And I'm actually going to talk about, I'm just going to put like egg here because this one right here is definitely going to use an egg because it's very much weighted towards the top. It's very wide at the top and narrow at the bottom. So if there's like this, I think this one I'm going to do an egg. And then this one's definitely an egg. You don't have to write that down, but I'm going to. The rest of them, I'm going to use spheres and stretch them out. All right, let's go into Tinkercad. This is going to be the most challenging modeling because you have a lot of parts and there's a lot of overlaps that we have to kind of eyeball. Here we are, and we're in Tinkercad, so let's get started. No, that's the wrong view. That's not correct either. There we go. That's what we wanted. Sorry, audience. Okay, so here we go. Let's make this a little bit bigger. I don't want to block anything I'm doing, but we need to see that there's a lot of little numbers on there. All right, I'm going to start with this front leg up here, and I've indicated that this front leg, I want to use an egg shape because it's much wider at the top. The biggest bulge is not in the middle. So I'll start out by going down here, more shapes. Okay, whoops, I guess I don't know what I'm doing. Go up to search, egg. Here it is, the egg shape. So use the search button, and looks like I'm going to use 2 eggs for the front legs. So I'm going to duplicate this just so I don't have to go and search for it again. And then I have one of them on the back leg. So I got 3 copies. Okay, let's go and make these all transparent on. So when we line them up later, we can do that. All right, my egg should be bulging at the top, not the bottom. Actually, all of them are that way, aren't they? Okay. All right, so let's put in this, the egg is 62 tall, 45 wide. Click on the height, 65 tall, and only 42. Hey, that's pretty close, 42. And it is way, way, way too thick. I don't know exactly how long, but something like that is probably going to be more realistic. All right, now I'm going to get a straight on side view from the right. We're going to lift this thing up. You know what? I think this whole thing is going to have to be up higher. Let's unlock it, move it up, and then relock it. We can always move it back down later. Whoops. Relock it. Looks like they've redone the lock button. It looks a lot cooler now. All right, there's my shape. You can see mine, it's slightly tilted to the front, something like that. And I'm going to use Shift and arrow keys to slide it over and up. Now what we're looking for is, see this little shape, this little overlap here? I'm going to match that as much as I can. You're never going to get it perfect, but like that. We can see it kind of goes up and over. I think that might be about as good as I'm going to get it. Don't fret too much with this. And you can always adjust it later. Now look here, it's not even close to being lined up like that. And remember, don't worry about the body. It's been locked, so you can mess around and you're not going to screw up the body too much. Okay, you can see I've got 0.01. So if you want to go quicker, you can hold down Shift. Lots of overlap with the body would be good. Probably my shoulder blade is going to be tilted. We don't know for sure. Again, we don't have that on the picture. It's probably going to be tilted slightly outward, something like that. All right, that's a good start. We can always change things later if we need to. All right, let's get our next shape, which is this oval right here. We're going to use a sphere 43 by 32. Drag it out. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to make it transparent right now and just duplicate it. I'm going to need another 2 spheres. Control D duplicates if you want shortcuts. I'm going to definitely need another 2 spheres for the bottom, and then we're going to need this thing. So this sphere is going to be right in here. It connects the leg together. Here we go. 43, 32. That's somewhat consistent. Remember, legs are going to get kind of tapering as they go down, so they'll be a little bit less. I think that looks pretty good. I don't know. I'm going to take a guess at something like this. All right, let's get a side view and let's get this thing rotated. You can see that this has a significant tilt forward. And hey, oftentimes I'll hold my drawing up right next to the monitor. I really can't do that here for you guys because it would be too difficult to show with my recording setup. But I'll hold that picture up right next to the monitor. Okay, let's slide it over and up. Now, what we want to look for here is look at the overlap. Does this shape, it doesn't go quite up to the halfway point of this other shape that I have. And it's definitely set back from that. The center is almost as far back, not quite, as this edge here. Keep those things in mind. These will help you to get consistent results that look good. Man, I see that. I feel like I need to tilt it a little bit more. And I'm looking at this overlap here. You know what? I think I've got that pretty well. Let's look at the top and like this. We might want to tilt that just ever so slightly, 2 degrees. And that looks pretty good to me. And again, now you can see why we use transparent shapes because they're much easier to get that overlap consistent. When I look at this, I don't think it's quite that much of an overlap. So I'm going to go down a little bit and back. Oh, maybe. You know what? I think I had it right, actually. Again, eyeball it. You can always adjust those later. Okay, so now we're on this shape, which I have identified as an egg shape, that it bulges at the top. So my egg was flipped upside down, 59 by 30. And these eggs come really wide, so 59, 30. Another thing you notice as I do this, I'm always moving my camera. And this one's probably going to be a little bit more narrow than this last shape that we'd used. By the way, you can take these and lock them right now. We've already got those. We've put in hard work on it. Don't screw it up. But so that, when you're moving things around, we don't want to lose that. This egg is slightly tilted towards the front of the animal. So let's go ahead and move it up. Straight right view, and again, we're using the flat view. This is why, because it gives us much more consistent results. I hate to say it, I have some students that no matter how many times I beg them to use the flat view, they simply will not do it. And they're going to get significantly worse results. I think now we're looking at this overlap. I think that looks really good. And again, don't worry if this is getting to be long. This is the most work, probably. The head might be quite a bit too. But I'm not going to make you watch me do the rear leg. I'll probably just pause the video and unpause it when I'm done. I'll move this in, hold down shift. You can go 10 units at a time. Something like that. And I think maybe a slight tilt outward. That looks great. I like it. Let's move these over so they're not in the way from when we're looking at this view. And I'm looking at this overlap right here and this overlap. I'm pretty happy with that. I like that. Actually, no. That looks like it's actually should be up a little bit more. If you look, the bottom of this shape here and the top of this one, this one's actually up higher than the bottom of that. Okay, and then back a little bit further. I think that looks good. Again, if you don't agree with the way I'm doing it, when you do yours, you could do it a little bit different. We're getting down to the narrow part of the leg. Notice how many times I adjust it. It's fine to do that. Adjust, adjust, look around, adjust. Students who take their time and are very detail oriented, they get big payoffs in this project. All right, you know what? I can see now I'm running out of space on the bottom to do this. So I'm going to take these, lock them all, and then unlock them. And carefully, don't screw anything up. Let's lift this up some more and then lock it down again. Whoops. Apparently you can't do that after you move it. Okay, lock it down again. Okay, awesome. This is starting off pretty good. Now I'm going to do 18 by 28 and 27 by 13. Since you're getting to be pros at this, I think I'm going to do 2 of these at once, out of order. 28 is the height. 18 is the width. And good. Let's model this one real quick. 27. Now the paw gets a little bit wider, so the width that we have to kind of guess at probably going to be a little wider on the paw because the paw gets wider for stability of the animal standing. I think that looks actually pretty good. Let's get these over here. Side view. Up. And you can see this one definitely tilts towards the back. About like that. I like that. That looks great. The paw is relatively flat. So I'm just going to probably keep that just like that without rotation. And you can see Again, we're looking at this overlap right here, this part that's not overlapped, this and this. I think I've done a fairly decent job. You know what? This might need to go up just a touch. And that looks pretty good. Okay, so now through the magic of video, okay, I kind of screwed up. I made you watch some of the rear leg stuff, but here we're back, and I think I've got this about the way I want. Notice that this other foot is a little bit off the ground. That's okay. When we get done with the whole animal, we can just tilt it back a little bit. For now, I'm going to leave that. It's not going to always come out perfect, but I think that that's about, let me adjust that a little bit. That's about right. That's about what I want with my animal. All right. So, in the next one, I'm going to show you guys how to clone these legs and mirror them to the other side.